Hello, my name is Marnie Straight, and I am the Arts, Culture, and Enrichment Coordinator for West Des Moines Parks and Recreation. And I'm out here at Raccoon River Park today, and we're going to take a little look at one of our public art pieces. This is Even Water. It is the most recent addition to the West Des Moines Public Art Collection, and it's located right here in Raccoon River Park, right next to the Nature Lodge. So with that, I'm going to get my face off the screen, and we're going to start with a wide look at Even Water right here. When I'm taking a look at a piece of art, I really like to start with a wide look and entire piece at once. Okay, I think I'm back. Hopefully I stay back. Anyway, like I said, I like to start by taking a wide look at a piece, and Even Water here is what we call a cycle suite of sculptures. And what that means is, as I'm sure you can see, there are 8 individual sculptures right here, but they really comprise one piece, which is Even Water. They even each have their own individual names, which we'll get to once we get a little closer with our look. Even Water was commissioned and unveiled in 2019. It's by an artist named Garten, who is based out of California. And it kind of explores the history of Blue Heron Lake here in Raccoon River Park, as well as our water quality and our drinking water here in West Des Moines. And it's part of the Public Art Advisory Commission's Water Quality Community Service Project, which has 2 other components. Even Water is the commissioned permanent piece to the collection, but we have 2 other works that'll be unveiled later this year. One is Aqua Strata, which is a community-sourced piece. We actually have here in West Des Moines watercolor some animals that live in and around Iowa waterways, and those are going to be encased in a larger sculpture to be unveiled. And then we have a temporary work of art coming up. It was supposed to be unveiled at our Earth Day celebration, but we'll have it later this summer. That's called Blossoms on the Water, and 2 large flower blossoms will actually rise up from the City Hall pond. So I won't spend too much time on those, but do keep an eye out, because those are a part of the overall project that Even Water is also a part of here. A bit closer. And if you come to view Even Water, I really recommend you walk up the sidewalk, and I recommend starting with this piece. This is a lake, and it shows you how Blue Heron Lake was formed. It's not a geologically occurring lake. It is man-made. It's the result of a quarrying operation. So this one here shows you the shape of Blue Heron Lake in 1955. And as you can see, it is not very lake-like. One thing I like to keep in mind when I'm looking up more closely as we are at a work of art is, what themes do you see? What materials do you see? What shapes do you see? And you'll notice there are really 4 colors you're going to see recurring here in Even Water. With the changing lake, we've got this dark earthy brown, we've got this beautiful gold, and then we have this also pretty earthy and sort of textured green that you'll see. As we get to some of the other sculptures, you'll also see, which is probably my favorite, is this really high steel. So moving on, the well. And as you can see, there's a little house shape up here on top, and it matches the house we see behind it. And this is a reference to the 8 well houses you see around Raccoon River Park. And those actually pull water up, become part of our drinking water. And this one is placed so nicely. I love that you can actually see one of the well houses right here behind it. Another really cool aspect of Even Water is that it doesn't only incorporate visual art, it also incorporates the written word in the form of poetry. So 4 of these works have the poem for the well is tap the earth, drink the water, fix the pump, drought. I'm not going to get too in the weeds discussing what each poem means. That it's meant to stand for itself, and it's meant to provoke some thought. So I'd let you think about what each poem means to you. And if you come here to visit these, you'll see the side that has the title of the sculpture on it, the well here, and that's where your poem is going to start. And it might move around the sculpture, but that's generally where you're going to want to start if you want to read the poem. So here is our second sculptures, and this is 67. And you can see now we're starting to get a little bit more of this relief, this negative space. The lake is starting to form, but we still have this really curvy Oxbow River here. One thing I really like about how Cliff Garten used negative space for these is that you can change the work of art depending on your angle. So, you know, if you look this way, you can see an earthy lake, but my favorite way to look at these is and fill it with sky. And then it really can become, you can use the sky to sort of make it the blue water. This is called the water table. And I like this one so much because you gain so many different experiences depending on how you look at it. So if you look right from the top, I can't see my camera, but hopefully that's angled okay. You've got this, and this is that high polished stainless steel that I talked about. That is a topographical map of Blue Heron Lake in 2017. So more or less as it is now. And compared to that curvy Oxbow River that we saw in the previous changing lake, it's really straightened out. And we'll see this again as we go around. But what I like about this is that then you get low and you can see these 5 little pieces that dip below. And those are springs that reach down into the earth and feed water into the aquifers that we're pulling that drinking water out from the wells. And then even lower, and I'll get back a little bit so you can see, then we've got these layers of sediment, the earth below. And I think it's really cool where you, similar with the well, you see the tip of the iceberg at the top of this, the piece that he's depicting. But then as you look lower, as you get at a different angle, you really see everything that's below it. You get an idea of that scale. So our poem for the water table is deep beneath the earth, aquifers, Mississippian, Devonian, Silurian, Cambrian, Ordovician, ancient rivers still fed by rain. What we see on the surface is a small part of what is below. And I like to ponder these poems like, I wonder why is what we see on this side, and then we turn the corner before the rest of that clause, on the surface. And I don't have the answer, and a lot of times when you're looking at art, you don't need to have the answer for those artistic choices, but they're a good thing to wonder and just let yourself ponder. So here we are. This is the shape of Blue Heron Lake in 1974. So now we're really looking a lot more like a lake. Once again, that Oxbow that I mentioned and that we're about to see more in detail. This is really straightened out here. We've got so much more negative space creating this lake. And once again, we can look from a low angle to fill that with the blue sky. And today is just a gorgeous day to do that. So moving on, I mentioned that the water table was my favorite piece in Even Water, and I think it is, but this is a close second for me. This is called the Oxbow, and it shows you the 2 shapes of the Raccoon River, 1955, and then on the other side, which I'll show you, is 1998. But what I really like about the Oxbow is how he incorporated the poetry. It just moves along with the water, and it really gives you, it just gives you the feeling of motion, like these words are flowing with the river to me. So as I'm showing you those, I suppose I can read you the poem. One cannot bend a river like a river bends itself. First it is here, then it is there. It has its own mind. We can build a dike, but the river moves itself. A constant, subtle power. And then below it just says the course of Raccoon River, 1955. And then over here we see the course of Raccoon River, 1998. So again, he's showing you how it changed over time, but in just a really beautiful way. And then here is our last of the Changing Lake series. And once I go through all of the sculptures, I will just quickly go through all 4 of the Changing Lake pieces so you can see them back to back. But this is 1998. This is pretty close to the Blue Heron Lake we know today. And as you can see, that's the fully straightened out Oxbow that we just looked at. And we've got just this nice, beautiful body of water that we're pretty familiar with now. And this might be my favorite one to take a peek through because I just love these trees that are finally greening up that we can see right through. So then we have one sculpture left to take a look at, and this is the water balance. And I think this is a really nice angle to kind of show you how he incorporated the idea of balance with this pipe. And what we're showing here, he's referring to, there's a dike that separates clean water in Blue Heron Lake from the murkier water of the Raccoon River. And there are 4 pipes that allow the water to be redistributed after the lake floods into the river. So another thing I like about this is that this is an actual hollow pipe. So if you get down low, you can look right through. There are just some really cool angles to see in these pieces. So if you're able to, I encourage you to get out and investigate these for yourself. But the poem on the water balance here is, I saw the river my enemy, I saw the river my friend. I pushed the river there. It pushed me back to here. Engineering equilibrium. A geologic moment. I was thirsty and I drank. So those are the 8 pieces that comprise Even Water. And once again, I'm just going to take you through just these 4 changing lakes so you can see them back to back. This is 1955. Once again, we've got that river with its Oxbow, and you wouldn't even think to call this a lake. And then we move on over here to 1967. We're starting to see some water pool. We still have that curvy Oxbow. And then we move on over here to 1974. And there's a lot more negative space. I think this is one of the really big jumps for me where you see it start to take shape. And then we get over here to 1998. And there's our more modern Blue Heron Lake. And there's the real Blue Heron Lake, if we look right over there. So I hope this was informative or interesting to you. And if you have the time and need something to do, I really encourage you to get outside. Please practice social distancing, but you can visit any of our works in our public art collection. We have our temporary exhibit, Art on the Campus, installed so you can walk around City Hall Pond and view all of those sculptures. But if you visit the Parks and Recreation page on the West Des Moines website, you can find the locations and names of our entire public art collection. So that's a good adventure if you want to get out with your family, and maybe you will find me visiting another piece sometime soon. But thank you for watching, and I hope you stay safe and healthy and have a good day.